Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. This is Jen's Nonprofit Nuggets or Nonprofit Nuggets by Jennifer Yarbrough. I am Jennifer Yarbrough, and I am your nonprofit expert with over 30 years of experience in helping nonprofit leaders start, grow, and sustain their nonprofit businesses. And so I am super excited to really be launching this podcast series where I'm going to be talking about the nonprofit startup. And we're going to really walk through the phases and the cycles and the opportunities and the challenges and everything connected with running and organizing and impacting our communities through this amazing organization. I can tell you that having done this work for many, many years, one of the biggest challenges that most people come to me with is money, obviously. And I push back because I say that money is actually a fruit of a much deeper root. Now, just follow along with me, okay? I believe that money is a fruit of a much deeper root. And at the root of our organizations not being able to sustain ourselves with the resources, be that finances, be that personnel, be that volunteers, or even community support, I think comes from the root of how we started the nonprofit. Many of nonprofit leaders start the organizations based upon their passion, passionate about helping community, passionate about making a difference, passionate about, helping others who have possibly experienced something that they themselves have gone through, or wanting them not to go through something that they're going through. And so all of those reasons for why we start the nonprofit is really legitimate and important. However, the way that we start our nonprofit is what's going to enable us to be successful. So when I speak to you about starting the nonprofit, I'm really speaking about how have you thought through that process. I have conversations every day about challenges, about obstacles, about barriers, about the frustrations. Truly, serving your community is not something that you want to take lightly, obviously. And I always say that the work that we do impact lives. We impact the lives of the people that are directly in our program. We impact lives of even our donors and our contributors, and making sure that we are giving back to them everything that they need to be inspired and motivated to continue to support the work that we do. So let's talk about the foundation of the organization. And this is going to be a series, right? I'm going to be coming on daily talking about a different topic or a different way of looking at how we start our nonprofit. So I hope that you will join me in this series. And I appreciate any comments or feedback that you might have as well. All right. When we're starting our nonprofit organization, I can tell you that most people come to me and say, Jen, I've got a great idea. I've got a great idea. And the idea itself is not the plan. Let me say that again. The idea is not the plan. So when you have an idea to feed, to clothe, to shelter, to in some way touch a life of a young person, the elderly, the homeless, whatever that population is, the idea alone is not the reason to start the business of a nonprofit. And I want you to be successful. I want you to be sustainable. I want you to build a legacy of change and impact. But it really starts at the beginning. It starts at the beginning. So when we talk about the beginning, I'm talking about your foundation, right? Your foundation of the organization. And we're going to go through this in little bite-sized pieces so that I don't overwhelm you, because I tend to be very excitable and I love this subject matter. I love the conversation around it, and I love helping to navigate the challenges. The first thing that we want to really understand when we are putting together our nonprofit organizations and we're taking our idea and we're deciding that we want to start the nonprofit. Now, let me say that starting your nonprofit is not the filing of the paperwork. I know for many people, you go and you get the paperwork, you file the paperwork, and you think I've started your nonprofit, when in fact, that's not true. You file the paperwork, okay? But how do you start Where do you begin? What's the first thing you do when you have that idea of, I want to serve, I want to support, I want to give back, I want to help, right? Those are very vague terms, but exactly how we're going to do that is what we're going to get into. Okay. So when we're saying, I want to start my nonprofit, before we can get donors, before we can get grants, before we can get collaborators, before we can get supporters and even going out and raising money, we've got to know at the start, what problem are we solving? You, leader, are a problem solver. You start by saying, I know what the problem is within the community that is your target audience, be it the elderly, be it youth, be it homeless, be it veterans, be it women and girls, whatever that is. You are serving and looking towards the problem that you are serving. Where is that gap in service? What is it that's not being done in your community that you now have seen as something that is a solution? You're going in as a solution. You see the gap in service, you see the opportunity of change, you recognize where people are, and you now have started your organization with the thought of structure, of staff and capacity, and resources to fill that void. I can tell you that a lot of people that come to me haven't really given it that much thought. They've thought, oh my gosh, I have an idea and I want to start a nonprofit. But what is a nonprofit? A nonprofit is an organization that is established, that is set in place to solve a problem. So how do we start? We recognize what the problem is and we are the solution. How about that? You're the solution, honey. You are the solution. How about you now create the thought process, the energy, the synergy, the strategy of solving the problem. Now, once you're able to say, I'm going to solve this problem, that takes the mindset of a problem solver. That means you can think through. That means you can strategize. That means you can think ahead and possibly foresee. One of the challenges that I find with many leaders is that I'm about to blow up your spot. All right, I'm about to say it and you can comment if it's not true. I think it is, right? Most of us have an idea, but we've not really thought through how are we describing what we do as a solution to a problem. I know what I want to do. That's what I hear. I know what I want to do, Jen. I want to help. I want to support. I want to change. I want to lend a hand. I want to put my hands in it. That's wonderful. But what is the it? The impact of the it. The impact of the it that you are doing. You want to be able to ensure that what you are doing is, in fact, making a lasting difference. All right? Impact is a sustained change. I always say activity is not impact. Activity is not impact. Activity is not impact. Activity is not impact. And many of us start with the idea of activity that we're going to do, but without the real knowledge and understanding and clarity of the impact by which we're going to do it. I want you to think about that. That at the foundation, at the beginning, you're able to say, this is what we're doing, and this is going to be the result. Look at it this way. People are going to come in our organization, problem. We're going to integrate a solution program. And once they've completed our program, they're going to leave differently. Now, I believe that if we can take this very simple concept and begin now to articulate, to speak about change, transformation, solution, talking about the problem and how we collectively, community, joining us can be a solution to a major problem. Your donors and supporters are supporting you not because you're a nonprofit. They're supporting you because your organization is presenting change. Your organization is solving a problem. They can see it. They're part of it, and you share with them the result of your program. Guys, I don't want to overwhelm you because, again, I get all I just get all excited about this, right? And this is something that I have seen in the thousands of organizations that I work with, that many people are convinced that, or let me say this, I don't believe that leaders who are starting this work of change recognize that, first of all, you can't do this work by yourself. You cannot do this work by yourself, okay? And that you must be able to engage, to inspire, to inform, to educate, to influence those within your community, your partners, your collaborators, your funders, your donors, those people, those entities, those individuals, those groups, to what? Join you and be a part of the solution. Now, I always say, and this is where you have a chance to examine yourself, examine your organization. Examine your organization. Do you have money, or do you have a lack of money or resource? Because you're saying, I have a hard time, Jen, communicating to the community. I have a hard time getting them to buy in. I submit that you're speaking more about your program activity and not the result and the impact of what you do. When we start our organizations, if we're not thinking this is going to be the result, this is going to be the outcome, this is going to be what happens as a result of our program, our organization is here as a solution. We're not here as a charity to take from the community. We are here to give to the community. We give solution. We give change. We give opportunity for change. We give opportunity for transformation. And it impacts not only the people that are in our program, but the community at large. Can you guys understand that? The community at large. And so what I want you to know is that when you're putting your organization together at the beginning, when you are saying, Jen, these are the challenges that we're overcoming. What? My board, my volunteers, my staff, who make up these individuals. These are individuals who are passionate, who are committed, who are interested, who desire to see the organization solution, right, come forth. I hope I explained that well. One of the things that I love about the work that we do is that we get an opportunity to change. I say we focus more on change and money will come. I say we focus on change and money will come. Can you imagine going into a conversation with a potential donor, with a prospective influencer, with someone who is a decision maker and someone who has the ability to make partnership arrangements or referrals or to be that torchbearer for your organization? They are excited, not because you're a nonprofit, they're excited to be a part of change that is working. Your product is impact. Your product is impact. And your business is solution. Your business is solution. So I help leaders take their idea and create that fundable program. What makes a fundable program? A fundable program is one that attracts the funds, the influence, the interest of others. Why would they be interested? What would cause it to be fundable, Jen? They fund change. 98% of your donors give because of impact, change. So we create a program that is intentionally designed to present at the end of it change. You've got a timeline, you've got a plan, you've got a strategy, you've got a budget, you've got resources, you've got staffing. You have everything that you need presented as feasible and viable for change, right? Guys, when you start your nonprofit, I want you to know that you are starting it from a position of change. Nonprofit organizations step in, fill in the gap, fill in the gap. And by filling in the gap, you're solving, you're changing. I know that for many of us, the idea of asking for help and asking for money can be a bit intimidating. And I said, we don't ask for money. We ask people to join us in the effort of change. We ask people to see the work that we do, to buy in, to participate in any way that they want, be it a volunteer, be it a collaborator, be it a partner, or be it their resource, right? And that as they join us in change, more change happens. The more we're able to change, more change happens. The more that we are able to join forces in arms with our community, the more change happens. And we are able to show how the change within the community that we're serving, the individuals that we serve, how is that improving the community at large? Your product is impact. Your product is impact. Your business is change. Your business is change. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I don't want you to feel as if this is impossible. I don't want you to feel as if there's no money. I don't want you to feel as if there's hopeless. I can tell you that the mindset of many of the leaders that I work with, it's that it's so hard and we're lacking. We're lacking. We don't have money. We don't have staff. We don't have a building. We don't have a bus. We don't. And this is how we're presenting the conversations to our potential donors, our prospective partners and collaborators. We're starting with what we don't have. Now, those things are true. We may not have staff. We may not have money. We may not have resources. But I submit to you that people are more inspired by your conversation of, with the help of the community, with the help of our supporters, with the help of contributions, with the help of people joining us who are interested in the solution, right? Interested in the work that we're doing to solve problems, to change lives in this way, that they will join you, that they will join you. Confidence is required. Leadership is required. Strategy is required. Patience is required. The ability to build relationships is required. The interest in the others, right? Your donors and your partners' interest in what they think is important is required. So as you now go out to get funding, as you go out to get partners and collaborators, as you go out to get those to join you, lead with change. I want you as leaders to change your mind about why you started your organization. Passion is important. Passion is definitely important. But I want you to think about change. I want you to think about what people have gone through, how they got to this place, and how your program is going to present the change. All right. How long is that going to take? That's how long your program should be. What activities are going to be a part of that change? That's what is the expense and makes up your budget. I say every day, money is not your problem. There is no shortage of money for the nonprofit organization. I know for many people, they're like, what? Are you kidding me, Jen? I, for the life of me, cannot find money. Money is not lost. Money comes from people. And people make a decision to give to people. And you as the leader are approaching people and you're asking them to join you. You're inviting them to see, to learn, to know about, and to influence them, even not to change their mind, not to entice them or to compel them against their will, but you're giving them an opportunity to see hope and solution through your program. Guys, we do a work that is so important. It's so relevant. I say every day that there's at least 1,000 people who are praying for a solution to their problems. You are that solution. And you are a solution that impacts not only the lives of the people that are in need, but by impacting those lives, how does that improve your community? Because the community, right? Those people who are not in your program, the community is where your resources come from. The community is where your partners, your collaborators, your funders come from. So this is where you have an opportunity to talk about change. Be the lead torchbearer of change. Don't be afraid to talk about, to interject, to influence, to inspire. That's the work that we do. It's inspiring. And many of the people in our community who are not in our program, they have no idea all of the things, all of the factors, all of the obstacles, all of the challenges that the people that we speak to go through. So you have an opportunity to insert yourself as an expert in that field. That means you've got to be knowledgeable. That means you've got to be aware. That means you've got to be connected to your community. That's where you've got to be aware of all of the conversations that are going around within your community pertaining to the problem that you're solving. You are educating, you're inspiring, you're influencing, and it's done tangibly. Now listen, let me say this very frankly. This is what we do in a grant application. In a grant application, we are doing this exact same thing. We are letting the funder know that these are the issues within our community, and we're inviting them, we're informing them, we're engaging them through the proposal to present our program as one that is viable for funding. Now, if we can do it in a grant application, then we can also do it in conversation one-on-one with our donors and supporters as well. All right. Guys, thank you so very much for joining me today on Jen's Nonprofit Nuggets. The nugget for today is impact. The nugget that I want you to walk away with is change. I want you and your board to have conversations around the change that the organization desires to make and how the board wants to be and desires to be a part of ensuring that that change happens. Are they participating in evangelizing and being a torchbearer on behalf of the organization? Are they positioning themselves as influencers and informed individuals within the community? Now, that's your role as the executive director, because they're not in the program every day. They're not running the program. They don't see all the ins and the outs, but you can inspire them. You can equip them with those program impact elements and talking points that they can use out in the community. Guys, I've been doing this work for so very long. And one of the things that I do is equip my leaders to do this work with ease. I know the challenges of being in your position as the person who's running the organization, the person who's having to make decisions, the person who's having to negotiate, navigate, budget, taking the time with staff and community and all of those things. I get it. I absolutely get it. I want you to know that the work that you do is not one that needs to be done alone. You can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. You absolutely need it. You need your community. You need your community. All right. So I want you just to be inspired. Listen, I want you not only to be inspired, but I want you to be equipped. I want you to be prepared. I want you to know that when you start your nonprofit, you understand the solution. When you now are engaging community, when you now are having conversation about, grants and donors and all of those things, it's from a place of solving problems. You are a solution. Your mission matters, okay? Your mission matters. So listen, if you are interested in starting your nonprofit and you want some help, you're like, Jen, I have an idea, but I don't know what to do next. I don't know what to do next. Or Jen, I had an idea and I went out and I got my nonprofit. I went and got my paperwork done but I'm stuck. I don't know what to do next. I don't know how to articulate the impact. I don't know where my ideal partners and collaborators are. I don't know how to show my board how to help me. I'm always saying, we want to make sure your board knows how to help you, help you, help you, help them, help you, help you, help them, help you, right? And the organization. And we want you to be equipped to be sustainable, not just starting, but to be sustainable. Okay. And what that looks like, what that requires on an ongoing basis, right? That we're not living, fish fry to fish fry, or um, you know, unsure month to month or week to week, or even starting this nonprofit and really not believing or having the resources to pay salaries, right? If you're not able to pay salaries, you're relying on volunteers, and volunteers can come and go whenever they want to. So you want to make sure that you are in a position to be sustainable. And that starts with you being able to share the sustained change. All right. Listen, um, my information um, is pinned below. You also can join my Facebook group. It's called Nonprofit Leaders Impacting Lives, Nonprofit Leaders Impacting Lives over on Facebook. Join us. I share lots of information and things like that. Next year, I am planning a huge nonprofit leadership retreat where I'm going to show you all how I have raised hundreds of millions of dollars. I am a grant writer. I am a fundraiser, a professional fundraiser, and I've been doing this work and working with organizations, in thousands of organizations, nationally and internationally. There's not a cause that you all are doing that I've not raised money for. So when I'm speaking to you about how do you raise money, it starts with impact. It starts with change. It starts with you being able to articulate, to show, and to share with your donors, your partners, your collaborators, the level of change that your organization is presenting. All right. So don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid of change, and be clear about your change. All right. Be clear about your change. I am going to come back and share a little bit more about the foundation of how you start your nonprofit. How you start your nonprofit. It first begins with knowing the change. Knowing the change. That's the first thing. That's the first thing. Not knowing your activity, knowing the change. Not knowing your activity, but knowing the change that your organization is going to make. If we can build a case for how our organization brings about change, then we can build a case for why and how people should find that change important and relevant to them, and invite them to be a part of it. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining Nonprofit Nuggets with Jen. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you next time as we continue to talk about the nonprofit startup practically. Now, let's execute. Think about, know about, and write about change. Thanks, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.